roll of the dice, risking all our futures.
The whole of the country would like to
Because we want to control it.
All aboard for Britain remaining in the European Union.
Can it really be over, the EU referendum campaign of 2016? Looking back, we can definitely say it's brought the country together, but not necessarily in a good way.
My daughter couldn't get into her school that she needed.
Go away.
So why don't you go away? We've got...
I'm a Cornish fisherman, you're not.
You may not be very bright, but that says read it.
You are being rude.
You are being intimidating. You were a refugee once. Your family were refugees once.
Any idea that this might be a uniting referendum? We've sort of split into two countries, Romania and Libya, with a lot of social differences between us. And the referendum's got so close and going right down to the wire that those differences have become even more important and exaggerated.
At times, it's been enough to drive you to drink.
Large quantity of real ale is one of the best ways to get through this gruelling referendum campaign, and I would recommend it to everybody.
That's the sweet taste of remaining in the European Union.
What better then than bitter to toast the end of this rancorous campaign? Although political types have been utterly intoxicated by this referendum for months, how much of what's been going on has actually cut through to real voters?
Thank you all, thank each and every one of you for everything that you are doing to support Vote Leave.
It's a rule of politics that generally the folk who get fired up and immerse themselves in a campaign, well, how can we put this politely? They're not always representative of the wider electorate.
The vast majority probably don't pay as much attention as people like us would imagine. Instead, the average person, the 50% of people less engaged than the average person in the street, isn't interested in the detail or the minutiae of specific issues or specific policies. Instead, they're interested about what we call the broad narratives, the stories that we tell ourselves and each other about the issues. And so is, for instance, Britain doing well being in the EU or not? As simple as that. Does Britain get a good deal or not?
Vote for a Britain that's stronger, safer and better off.
So this has meant the campaigns have been hammering away at the same message again and again.
Stronger,
Safer.
Better off,
Stronger.
safer.
better off.
I think the Remain side was very clear. It's all about the economy. Let's keep talking about the economy and let's scare the living daylights out of voters who are undecided by making them think we're going to have economic collapse, complete chaos, World War III, goodness knows what else, plague and pestilence come Friday, June the 24th. And I think it worked in the early stages. It absolutely worked.
Meanwhile, Vote Leave was serving up something just as bite-sized and just as often.
Is it not time we took back control? We want to take back control.
Take back control.
I don't think they really knew what they were doing in the early stages. The early weeks were completely dominated. Every morning on the news, it was all about what the Remain camp were saying and reactions from the Leave camp. And it's only in the last week or two that Leave have been on the front foot and actually trying to lead the debate.
Piggy racing might be some people's idea of the perfect EU referendum metaphor.
Oh, snout to snout! My gosh, that...
But as a way of measuring public opinion, it's probably less useful. For all their much discussed difficulties, we prefer to use pollsters. The polling organisation YouGov has been asking voters which events from the campaign they remember. Top of the list was Vote Leave's claim that we send £350 million a week to Brussels, with 42% remembering. Next was the news that net migration to the UK had hit 333,000, with 37% recalling that. And third most remembered was Vote Leave's focus on Turkey and other candidate countries joining the EU on 36%. So the top three items were from the Brexit side of the argument.
The top three items were Leave items, if you like. They were also more likely to be followed by people who support Leave, and also, generally speaking, across all the items that we tested, there was more interest in people following it more closely if they were likely to vote Leave. And this corresponds very closely to the data that we have that shows that people who say they're going to vote Leave, are more likely to vote, they're more likely to be interested, and they're more likely to be paying attention. And that's interesting because there are two dimensions to this, of course. There's the issue of whether people will vote leave or vote remain, and then there's the issue about whether people will choose to vote or not. And it's the combination of those two things that will decide the result on Thursday.
The highest recalled Remain argument was the Treasury report, saying that Brexit would spark a year-long recession. That was on 35%. Barack Obama saying that the UK would be at the back of the queue for a new trade deal with the US in the event of Brexit. That was recalled by 31%. And Jeremy Corbyn's warning about Brexit and the NHS was only remembered by 24%. That's not much more than one of the fake items we put in. For example, 21% of respondents said they remembered Boris Johnson and David Cameron each calling the other a liar during a live TV debate, despite the fact, of course, that never happened. Although everyone says they want calm, rational, polite debate, secretly campaigns are trying to generate angry conflict. Using a disputable statistic, for example, or a scary soundbite, generates airtime on your preferred subject.
Really what the campaigns have been trying to do is create disputes around their central points so that people will argue over it. In campaigns, salience is everything. Can you move your issue, the issue on which you're leading, up the agenda? Well, Remain has certainly succeeded in doing that on some days and Leave on others, and you can watch the polls when the salience of the sides is up, so is their poll rating.
From tomorrow then, the leaflets should subside, and at least we won't have to pretend to be out when there's a knock at the door. But there is no hiding from the fact that this referendum has divided the UK. Whatever the result, healing the disputes this campaign has unleashed won't be easy.